Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Lizette Lamort, and this is the Curie Way Expectations and Policy Review. I am on with Mr. Vega and Mr. Camarillo, and we are part of the discipline team. And we're just going to be reviewing a few slides here just to give you guys a little bit of information regarding some information that actually can help make the school year a little bit better for you. So to begin, I want to go through just a little bit of what our departments look like. So we're going to be reviewing the Curie Way, but we have a few departments that are pretty important to our team. It's not just the disciplines office, but the culture and climate departments work together to make sure that the school's culture and climate is the best that it can be, right? We have our dean's office. As I mentioned, I'm Lizette Lamort, culture climate coordinator. Attendance office, as you can see, security, and our behavioral health team. So why is this important to know for our school culture? What school culture is, it generally refers to the beliefs and perceptions that help shape and influence every aspect of how a school functions, right? So it's important to have specific departments in place to make sure that we can provide the best support for our students. And that overall helps our school climate, which is the quality and the character of our school, to be the best experience, and it reflects our norms and our goals as a whole for our students and our staff. So with that said, we basically want to go over what the Curie Way is. We've developed the Curie Way where, every person from our staff to our students, all of our teachers to just every personnel is expected to, as part of the Curie community, follow the Curie Way. And we'll go a little bit more in depth into this as we go through the presentation. And some of those words that pop out in the slide before, we're going to be discussing again a little bit more in depth. But overall, we feel that being hardworking, respectful, kind, open-minded, responsible, determined is definitely key for everyone to be a community and build community within Curie, right? So it's a feeling of fellowship with others, and it's a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. And we feel like this helps shape who we want to be and where we want you and your students to be. So when students feel that they are a part of the school community, they will become more vested in their educational experience, and ultimately that is our goal. So we'll go ahead and start with being respectful.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Marco Camarillo. I am also one of the deans, as Ms. Lamort has stated. The first one we want to talk about is being respectful. There's about 200 staff members. At Curie, we have about 3,000 students, right? And before I also begin, I want to make sure that we clarify that the Curie Way is an expectation to be followed, not only if and when we go back to school, but also during remote learning, Google Classroom. When your teacher is speaking and through remote learning, please be respectful, pay attention to what they're saying, listen to your peers, to what they have to say. Staff members, right? There's, like I said, there's 200 staff members, there's security, there's custodians, there's lunch personnel. Everybody should receive the same amount of respect, not only from you to adults, but from adults to you. If there's ever a moment where you feel disrespected, or there's some tension between you and a peer or a teacher, definitely talk to an adult, talk to one of us, so we can facilitate a peace circle. So this way we can, hey, what's going on? Figure out what the problem may be. So in order for us to have a welcoming environment at Curie, and this way you're able to just focus on your education, and anything that may be bothering you, let us know so we can make sure that we address. There's different people at school, right? It's a very diverse school. People come from different backgrounds, different communities, so we need to make sure that everything that we do say does have an effect. So please make sure that you guys are aware, that you guys are your actions. And if there is something, sometimes we do things where we may be upset, where we may be not having a good day, and that happens, right? That's understandable, but please communicate with us. A lot of it does come up, with respect comes accountability, to make sure that you're accountable for what you have said, in order for us to make sure that we're able to move forward. Next slide. Open-minded and kind. Again, there's 3,000 students, right? Different cultures, different backgrounds. So we need to be open-minded about what we're saying. We have to be kind to everyone, okay? What happens when you're not being calm, when you're not being open-minded, when you're being disrespectful, going back to the previous Curie Way, that can lead to bullying, right? Bullying is something that we take very serious at Curie, and not only at Curie, but in CPS in general, we take that very, very serious. And as you can see, you also see cyberbullying, right? Now because we're remote learning. So if you go on social media, make a post about one of your classmates that's not being open-minded, that you're being disrespectful. All of that we are made aware of, and we will address, check in with you what's going on, what may be the problem, so we can solve the problem and figure out solutions for us to best move forward. So please be aware about what you're posting on social media. It's something we'll talk about later on as well. But if you see, if you feel, or if you have experienced any type of bullying, please let us know. Don't hold it to yourself. Let your teacher know. Let us know, so we can make sure we address it and find a way to support you. One of the links here, it gives you the entire policy for how we handle bullying and how we take it very serious, right? If we do have an investigation going on or something like that, we do send letters home for parents to be made aware, and then from there we just keep moving forward, right? So please, if you see bullying, if you're being bullied, please let us know. We do not take this very lightly, and we want to make sure that we respect everybody. We're following the Curie Way in order for us to be successful and move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Camarillo. So we are gonna then go into the Curie Way, hardworking and determined. And Mr. Vega will join us a little shortly with this as well. But hardworking and determination will strengthen your ability to learn and be successful at Curie, while allowing you to be part of great events and activities. So again, this goes back to, expectation for everyone as a whole, staff and students and teachers. Hardworking, being determined. As students, we want to, of course, the ultimate goal is to graduate. The ultimate goal is to have the best experience possible at Curie High School, which means that you are eligible for a lot of different events, a lot of sports, sporting events, as well as school events, of course. That may look a little differently this year, of course, but at the end of the day, there are definite, rewards to making sure that you have applied yourself the best way possible. And nothing more than your future success and your post-Curie goals, right? Anytime you look back on your high school experience, or if you're moving forward to college or a job or whatever it looks like after Curie, it is important, and they will sometimes, ask you to reflect, or references or stuff that definitely takes you back to high school. And sometimes you don't expect that. So if we try our best from day one, that should actually be no problem, and it won't affect you at all. So Mr. Vega is back, and we'll go on to the next slide, which he will go over with you.
Hi, everyone. This is Dean Vega. Sorry, I had to step out. I have my kid acting up a little bit, so I had to step away. But more than anything, touching a little bit on electronic or the Curie Way, or being responsible. Obviously, being responsible, you would have to you'd have to be responsible, obviously, for behavior, decisions, actions, any behaviors that might disrupt the school process, any classroom. Obviously, not right now in the hallway, but when we do go back to school, behaviors in the hallway is something that we always like to make sure that you guys are aware, and you guys are taking accountability in yourselves. I apologize. Things such as loitering, cutting class will result in escalated interventions, consequences. Obviously, any type of vaping product, tobacco products, alcohol, any type of paraphernalia that is found on school grounds will be addressed as well. Parents will be notified. We will address you guys via the Student Rights and Responsibilities Handbook, which is the handbook that is kind of, in a sense, our guidance to dealing with certain situations. The least amount of situations that you become yourself involved in, obviously, the less we have to dig into this and apply any consequences or any interventions, as we've stated previously. So the thing that we get a lot of questions asked is cell phone use. Cell phone use is allowed, and that's usually in green zones. Green zones are the areas where your teachers, the teachers that do allow cell phones in their classroom, will let you know at the beginning of the school year if you are allowed to use cell phones during school time. There are certain teachers that have red zones. Teachers, I think, more in like the science area, areas like that where it could be a danger, it could be a safety concern. They will have red zones. So obviously they've prohibited the use there. And the one thing that we will stress is no headphones or earbuds. Obviously that's whenever we do go back to school, that's usually when we're gonna proceed with that. But as far as that's concerned, you guys are not allowed to use them while in the hallway. And again, that's more for safety reasons, and so also we can help you guys get from one class to the other the fastest manner possible, to avoid those tardies and detentions and so on and so forth. And like we said, if it gets an escalated consequence. Electronic accountability. This is something very important. More than anything, I think right now, since everything is electronic, we want to touch on this a little bit more. Cell phones, computers, and tablets. Obviously, we want you guys to be accountable for your own possessions. We are not the type that like to take your devices, your personal belongings. But if we need to, obviously we will address it. Like I stated earlier, the Student Rights and Responsibilities book will back us up on that if need be. Like I said, your CPS and personal email is also something that you guys have to be accountable for. Obviously, there's certain things that can be sent via CPS email or any personal email, or even when you email maybe a teacher or somebody or even one of us through your personal email. Obviously, if it's something that shouldn't be sent or anything, we'll try to look into it and address it as soon as possible, whether it's to us CPS staff or even from student to student. If you're sending emails to another one of your friends and it's something is inappropriate in there, we will address it. Obviously, we will try to keep it as clean as possible. It's the easiest route to go. And I think everything that you guys do now that you're going to be in high school, again, use of CPS network is also something that the CPS does not take lightly. If students are downloading inappropriate stuff or installing apps or, like I said, sending messages, networking, if it's anything that is brought to our attention, we will definitely, intervene. We'll deal with it. Sometimes these situations can end up on the Office of Student Protections table, and then we have to work with them in tandem to address it the most responsible way possible. I'm not sure if we're going to speak a little bit more. OSP, I believe we are, but we'll touch on that a little bit down the road. So students are responsible for anything that's brought into the building. Like I said, it is your guys' responsibility. The less we see it, the less we have to address you about it. It's that simple, all right?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Vega. So yes, and we're going to be alternating, here speaking on different slides, but we do understand with everything mentioned that, we are beginning the year with remote learning, right? A lot of these things still apply. The student code of conduct still applies. Attendance still applies, right? Attendance will be taken daily, as we were just informed not too long ago. So this slide just gives you a little bit more pointers of what that looks like from the information that we have as of this point. Attendance will be taken daily for every class. Students must remain engaged during Google Meets lessons, which again, your electronics accountability really comes into play because everything is going to be remote and online. The code of conduct remains in effect, and our policies and the Curie Way expectations do as well. So we want to continue to model that even during remote learning while we're building this new school year together a little differently, but definitely, we're all in this together. So parents and students Student Rights and Responsibilities Handbook that Mr. Vega was mentioning. And if you press on the picture, there is a link to the handbook that you can click on, and it'll take you directly to that. If you would like to review it, just be a little bit more aware, get informed, be prepared. We always ask our families and our students for you to know your rights and to know what the expectations are and what, you know, the repercussions are of certain actions prior to you, unfortunately, having to learn the hard way, right? If you are informed, if you are prepared, it kind of helps it helps us to be able to prevent those unfortunate situations. We're going to just go quickly over a few attendance protocols and just expectations, as we work very closely with our attendance office as well. This is whether you're in the building or you're not. This will be helpful for you to know in general.
Yes, so these are, before we start, these are some of the questions we want you to ask yourself, like, why does attendance matter? What are some things I should avoid? What does the good attendance mean to school? What does it mean to yourself? How can you maintain an high attendance rate? And how will school help me achieve a high attendance rate? And we will be discussing within the next few slides. So please keep these questions in mind. Next slide. So first we want to touch on truancy. Truancy is exactly what it says here on the slide. Is a student who intentionally stays away from school without a valid reason. Here in the state, you are required to go to school until the age of 17. Okay. What happens if you're not? You do get sent letters home to your parents for you to attend court, and that's a whole nother situation that your parents had to deal with and had to address. Letters are, if you miss more than, 5 to 10 days of unexcused absences, that's when you get the letter sent home for your parents that stating that your child has not been attending school, has missed 5 to 10 school days, and needs to attend court for education process. So please keep that in mind.
All right, I'll touch base a little bit on what does my attendance mean for the school. Our school goal is 90% attendance or higher. Obviously, the higher your attendance, the better grades you're going to get. The easier school is going to be for you. School has a report card, and we also get graded too for our students' attendance. So we need everybody to be there. Just as we need teachers and staff to be there, we need you guys, obviously. You guys are the key. You guys are the ones that we need the most there. Less than 90% means a lot less funding. If our students aren't going to school, the district sees it as, you know, oh, they're not as involved. So what I think they allocate is kind of the schools that have the higher attendance. That's where they're gonna, you know, provide a little bit more because they do see that students are going to school and attending mostly all the time. Less funding means obviously fewer teachers, more crowded classrooms, less individual support, and lower academic achievement. That's something that I had touched a little bit on. But like we said, you know, the more you're in school, the better it is for everybody all around, in the building and outside the building. What does my attendance mean for me? Maintaining good attendance, obviously 90% or higher, means you are in good standing. Maintaining perfect attendance, 100% or higher, means you will be celebrated in additional unique ways. Certain things when we do go back to the building, and we hope to go back to homecoming, prom, all that stuff, all that comes into play with your attendance, because if you are not at that 90% quota, you will not be considered for attending these events. Next slide.
So how can I maintain a high attendance rate, right? How can we help you, and what are some ways that you can begin to establish in the beginning of the year? It would be, one is as simple as understanding all school and CPS policies related to attendance, right? We kind of broke them down for you a little bit here to better help you understand the importance of it, the age limit, and some of the repercussions. But also there's the student portal, which I think parents are probably using a little bit more now, but also students have their own portal account. We have condo reports that go out, and that's going to continue to regularly go out. It states your absences, your tardies. If you feel anything is a mistake, at that moment when you're reviewing everything, your teachers, the attendance office will help you get that corrected instead of letting it, stay that way and then it'll contribute to your absences. We can always help you fix that. So the more you're looking at your information online and the reports that we sent out, the easier it is for us to catch those mistakes, because our teachers and our offices sometimes make mistakes as well. We want to account for all the minutes that you are in school or actively signed on for your classes. Once we return back into the building, of course, parents, if you are having early dismissal for kids, or if they have appointments, try to schedule them after school hours. Anytime that they miss a class period, or if they miss more than a half day, more than 1 or 2 periods a day, they're marked, depending on the minutes, a half day. It can total a whole half day. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure that they're there for the full amount of time. If appointments can be scheduled after school hours.
All right. Some school support. Obviously, you guys have us, the deans, in the dean's office, but you also have other supports, such as adult mentors, such as your counselors, attendance staff, obviously your teachers who you see every single day. If you are also an athlete or part of an extracurricular activity, obviously you can get some mentoring out of the adults that run those clubs, organizations, whatever it may be. Some other services that are provided that we do have in house is obviously the social and emotional aspect of it. Is we will mention the social workers, homeless support counselor, homebound support counselor, BHT, which is our behavioral health team. There's obviously other academic supports, such as tutoring after school, and some mentoring, where we have some college students that come from outside universities that come support our students as well. There's also small counseling support groups. If anybody's going through a tough time or anything, obviously you got those supports. And if they feel the need that maybe a small support group would benefit you guys, that was something that our special education support would discuss and then intervene, obviously. Not only our special education, but our behavioral health team. That's also part of, what we do at the school is, try to help you guys, support you guys, not just academically, but outside of school. If there's issues going on outside of school, any type of advice that you guys may need or anything, these are all these supports that, you can reach out to. Going back to the special education, the case manager, their service providers, student service providers that are in the SPED department, the psychologist, and the speech pathologist. The last one here that we have is the outside agencies, who are also our partners when it comes to SEL support, social emotional support. Our Gads Hill, BAM, WOW, and Europe are agencies and organizations that help us support as much as possible. Like I said, with anything going on either inside or outside of school.
Mm-hmm. And finally, so this concludes, hopefully you guys have watched our whole presentation. Again, we will provide emails where you can communicate directly with us. But one final disclaimer, we have mentioned it throughout our presentation, but due to COVID-19, some policies and expectations are subject to change, right? So if we, whatever that looks like, whether it would be remote or when we return back into the building, we are hoping to be able to see all of you and meet you all soon, but regardless, we just want to make sure that you're aware that anything can change, and we will all work to make sure that you get information prior to and better help you prepare for whatever changes may come. So again, Ms. Lamort from the Dean's Office, Culture Climate Coordinator.
Dean Vega, see you guys.
Thank you all for listening. Have a great rest of your week and a great start of the school year.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.